Do you have a Netflix subscription? What's your favorite thing to watch on Netflix? It's a pretty good place to watch shows, movies, and documentaries, but who would have thought that Netflix was going to join in the world of gaming? I know we were caught by surprise, but that's okay, because we love a platform that can do all sorts of entertainment for us. So let's get into it and talk about this new gaming app. Let's start from the beginning because the turnaround for this was insane. So Netflix had an insane number of subscribers during 2020. However, they only had 1.5 million customers worldwide during the second quarter of 2021. This was a massive slowdown from the previous growth. Afterwards, the company officially unveiled its plan to enter the video game market, and their first step was entering the mobile game industry. They made this jump in hopes of gaining and retaining customers. Netflix announced that the games will be included with the monthly subscription. Netflix is now in competition with other streaming platforms that are fighting to share the market, including Disney+, HBO Max, Peacock, Discovery+, and Paramount+. This might be another reason why the streaming giant has decided to make its way in the video game industry. You want to set yourself apart from your competition, and you want to be ahead of the curve, right? What stage is it at? Now, on the gaming front, Netflix said it was in the early stages of further expanding into games, building on our earlier efforts around interactivity and our Stranger Things games. This was back in July. Then they announced they hired a video game veteran, Mike Verdu, who formerly worked at Facebook's Oculus Studios and EA. It's a good thing Netflix hired someone who's pretty top tier in this industry because they'd want only the best to be making this for them. They had also announced that they wanted to create games that were based on its original TV shows and films, as well as introducing new games and licensing some titles. The company had this to say: "We view gaming as another new content category for us, similar to our expansion into original films, animation, and unscripted TV. Games will be included in members' Netflix subscription at no additional cost, similar to films and series. Initially, we'll be primarily focused on games for mobile devices. We're excited as ever about our movies and TV series offering, and we expect a long runway of increasing investment and growth across all of our existing content categories. But since we are nearly a decade into our push into original programming, we think the time is right to learn more about how our members value games." Also, with this slowdown in subscribers, Netflix have even spoken about launching merch, having live events, and even VR content. Now, that would be interesting. What show would you like to watch in VR? What the top dogs have to say. Netflix co-CEO Reed Hastings was asked which of the new areas will become significant profit pools. He had this to say: "None of them. They're not designed to be. They're about enhancing the big service that we have. We're a one-product company with a bunch of supporting elements that help that product be an incredible satisfaction for consumers and a monetizing engine for investors." I think that's a good thing. They don't expect these other areas to make them money because they won't cost anything extra. However, it will make them money if people buy the subscription just so they can play the games, which I can see fans of the TV shows doing in the future. Hastings had more to say: "In the race to entertain consumers around the world, we continue to compete for screen time with a broad set of firms like YouTube, Epic Games, and TikTok. But we're most likely competing with ourselves to improve our service as fast as we can. If we can do that, we're confident we can maintain our strong position and continue to grow nicely as we have been over the past 2+ decades." Well, it seems like Netflix is aware that the only person you should be competing against is yourself. Don't worry about the other people because you are your own competition. Take that advice, people. Compete with yourself because then you'll continue to do great things. Agree? No? Maybe? Well, whether you do or you don't, we still have some more stuff to talk about with this gaming app. So keep listening to find out what's happening with this app today. Netflix Today. The new Netflix gaming app is launched and it has a few games for you to try. You can play 5 mobile games: Stranger Things 1984, Stranger Things 3 the game, Shooting Hoops, Card Blast, and Teeter Up. However, it's only available for Android, so all Apple users are going to have to wait until they can give it a try. Unless you know someone who has an Android. There are only 2 games that are tied into Netflix's original shows, and those are the Stranger Things games. Stranger Things 3 the game was developed by Studio Bonus XP, and it's a companion game to Season 3 of the show. It'll let you play through familiar events while also uncovering never-before-seen quests, character interactions, and secrets. According to the description, Stranger Things 1984 is described as a retro action adventure game similar to the ones from the 80s, letting players solve puzzles and collect Eggos and gnomes. Eggos and gnomes? Sounds great to me. Mike Verdu had this to say: whether you're craving a casual game you can start from scratch or an immersive experience that lets you dig deeper into your favorite stories, we want to begin to build a library of games that offers something for everyone. That sounds like a good way to make games, because playing games that coincide with people's favorite shows will be well received if it's made right. Otherwise, it could turn a little messy. How does it look? Well, like we said, the game is currently available in Netflix's app for Android devices. When you log into your profile via a dedicated Games row and Games tab, you'll be able to download a game. Users on an Android tablet will be able to see a dedicated Games row and also can select games from the categories drop-down menu. Netflix said that they'll be releasing support for iOS within the next few months. Verdu has said that some of the mobile games may require internet connection, but others will be available to play offline. I'm sorry, but that's amazing to me. So many games need internet connection to play, and sometimes you just don't have internet connection, like when you're on a plane. This will be a great thing because now you'll have options to play the game even when you're in the sky, and that's something I'm truly looking forward to. Here we go, plane rides. Also, the mobile games are available in many languages that the app offers, and the games will automatically default to the preference set in your Netflix profile. If your language is not yet available, then the games will default to English. So that's a bit of a bummer, but I'm sure they're probably working on that as well. Some other cool facts. Also, I just wanted to point out a few more things before the end of this video that interest me about this new app. Netflix has made all these titles free to download, free from advertising, and don't include any in-app purchases. That is fantastic because I always sigh when there's in-app purchases. Just let me play my game, please, and to its fullest extent. There's also an option to disable this for kids. If you have kids on your Netflix account, then you can create a lock so they can't play the games as well. That's handy because maybe you want to play all the Stranger Things games thoroughly before having your kids play it. Also, if they ask why you get to play them and they don't, just say it's for research purposes. I'm keeping you safe. I mean, you're not lying. Another interesting thing that was said is that they picked games because they know the vast majority of subscribers engage with the service on a mobile device. That means they needed to offer additional services other than long-form video. It's not surprising that earlier this year they launched Fast Laughs in order to compete with TikTok. I will say the research team for Netflix are not joking around. They know what people want, what they're into, and how to get them interested in them again. I hope these people are getting a raise if this all goes well, because they deserve it. Last thing I want to tell you about before we wrap up is what they want to do in the future. Netflix is hoping they'll be able to create a gaming library that will suggest games to you like how they suggest shows. So depending on what you're interested in, the app will give you games that will fit those interests. I like that. It makes it more personable. Well then, we're at the end of this Netflix conversation, and I must say I'm excited to try out some of these games. Are you? Which show do you think they should turn into a game? Will you be trying any of the released ones out? Let us know down below.